Hello, I'm Joe Walensky. I'm the program manager for ConveyUX. That's the annual user experience conference that takes place in Seattle. It's produced by BlinkUX, and we're going into our 7th year, March 11th, 12th, and 13th. And I'm talking with another one of our presenters scheduled for the event. And today I'm talking with Kris Davis. Hello, Kris. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Yourself?
Yeah, everything's going really well. I'm at
Awesome.
the downtown Seattle office of Blink. Where are you talking to us from?
So I'm from Denver, Colorado right now.
Well, we'll talk about your session in a little bit. Why don't you start by talking a little bit about your background and the types of things you're involved with?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background, I originally started off in the startup product space, building software products for very small companies and sort of startup environments. After several of those companies either died or had to let a bunch of people go before they got sold, I got a little bit more interested in some of the enterprise spaces. So, I felt like I had a good understanding of the product world, the startup world, and I really felt myself wanting to go see what the enterprise had in terms of design, just to kind of get the other side of that coin. So I ended up going back to school and started working for a large retailer in an innovation lab, where we were a little bit of a shared services within the group, but we were still focused on products, but just very, very large products within a very, very large company. After living in Chicago for a little while, I really liked the city, but the weather just didn't work for me. So my wife and I basically looked at a map and said, well, where's another cool place that there's a good tech scene with some good weather? And we looked at the map and picked Denver, and we've been here for almost 4 years. So since coming to Denver, I've been working with a company called Deloitte Digital. And Deloitte is a very, very large company. I think there's 250,000 people in total here. And I work inside of the consulting group as part of Deloitte Digital, and then we're actually a studio that's attached to Deloitte's kind of consulting practice. And so a lot of the stuff that we work on is we work with a lot of management consultants, a lot of strategy and operations folks, a lot of technology folks, helping very large enterprise companies achieve their goals. And that can be anything from a company wanting to take a global approach to e-commerce and aggregate all of their different business units across the world into one approach, to helping large healthcare providers build startups to help compete with their mature businesses and other startups that are starting to affect their business, to just a variety of problems that large clients have. And so that's kind of where I spend a lot of my time these days.
Well, I'm sure you've got a lot of different things going on. We'll talk about your session, but is there anything new and exciting going on that you're particularly interested in?
Yeah, so something new and exciting that I'm particularly interested in is understanding how, as designers and as creative people, how we can better evaluate our skill sets, how we can better understand the skill sets of other people, and then use that understanding to essentially develop ourselves to be stronger practitioners. I think historically, design and creative fields and how we understand our skill sets has been very fuzzy. How do you take something like creativity and define that in a way that's meaningful, that people can say, this is what a junior designer, this is the creativity that we expect from them versus this is what we expect from a senior designer versus a manager versus a director. So I'm really excited about diving into that to really help organizations better evaluate creative folks.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your session that you're going to present at the conference. The title is Design Changes Within the Enterprise, and that happens to be part of our enterprise interest area. So we have several different interest areas, and so yours is part of that. So talk a little bit about your session, what we can expect from it.
Yeah, so I'll kind of talk a little bit about how I came up with that topic, and then I can dive into what people can expect from that topic. So basically, throughout my experience, I've observed a lot of design leaders in various capacities. And I've also had the opportunity to talk with other leaders in large companies and about what they would expect from a design leader. And so some of those things, I think, unless people are intentional about understanding them, I don't think that they are very intuitive. And I think that what it takes somebody to lead in a small company is vastly different than what it takes somebody to lead in an enterprise organization. And to kind of talk a little bit about what I mean by enterprise organization is, if you have a mature company that has tens to hundreds of thousands of people working there, that creates a lot of extra complexity that I think people in smaller companies are not used to dealing with. And that complexity, I think, can be very frustrating for people when they say, why aren't I able to make these changes within the company that I want to make? And that can be anything from trying to streamline hiring practices, to trying to streamline how people are evaluated, to trying to make product-based decisions more efficient. And so in bigger companies, they tend to be comprised of very large business groups. And each one of those business groups can be equivalent to the size of 5 to 10 to 15 startups in terms of how much money they have. And so I think that one of the things in being a leader in an enterprise environment is being able to affect change in a positive way. And I think that if you're not able to understand the social, political, financial impacts of your change, then you're not able to sell that change to other people and get them to align to the things that you want to do and be excited and support those. And so that's something that I think is really important for a couple of reasons. If you have a design team or you have an initiative group, you have to understand how to get support from the company. Financially, politically, you want people to be excited about the design and what you're doing for that company. And then you also have to be able to change the company potentially in ways that help keep people engaged and motivated. And so that's a lot of where my topic is coming from, is taking all those different pieces of what it could take to be a design leader in an enterprise and being able to affect the changes that you want to see done in an enterprise in an effective way. And so that's how I kind of came up with the idea. And then what you can kind of expect in my session is I want to talk a little bit about, I want to touch upon some experiences that I've had where I've failed at being able to impact change, and some of the things that I've learned from that I would like to be able to convey kind of some of that stuff I've learned, so hopefully people don't make the same mistakes I've made. But then I also, too, wanted to talk through my process for how I think about impacting changes specifically in enterprise environments. And the process kind of touches upon how do you get buy-in? How do you develop an idea? How do you get an idea supported? And then ultimately, how do you execute on that idea and keep people excited through the whole process?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great information for everybody to consume, get a chance to meet you and talk with you about your work. And appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Seattle in March.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited about it.